Sometimes when life breaks apart, it is not a punishment, it is preparation. My dear friends, many of you are entering 2026 with confusion in your heart. Plans didn't work, people changed, dreams got delayed, you prayed, but instead of comfort, you received challenges, and you're wondering quietly, God, why are you changing my life like this? Let me tell you something very gently today. When God changes your life, it is never to harm you. It is always to heal you. Even when it hurts, sometimes we think God removes things from our life because we failed, because we were not good enough, or because we made a mistake. But very often it is the opposite. God removes things because we have outgrown them. What once supported you may now be suffocating you. What once felt safe may now be silently limiting your growth. Think about it. A child holds tightly to a small toy and cries when it is taken away. From the child's point of view, it feels like loss. But from the parent's view, it is progress. The toy is not bad, it is simply too small for the child's next stage. In the same way, when God removes something from your life, it doesn't mean that thing was evil or useless. It simply means it cannot travel with you into the future. He's preparing. Many people enter 2026 carrying unnecessary weight. Old habits, old identities, old attachments, old expectations of people who were never meant to stay. God, in His compassion, begins to remove them gently, or sometimes suddenly. And when that happens, it hurts, because we confuse familiarity with destiny. We confuse comfort with purpose. You may say, but this job paid my bills. Yes, God replies, but it was killing your spirit. You may say, but this relationship felt like home. Yes, God replies, but it was stopping you from becoming who you truly are. God is not emotional the way humans are. He does not remove things impulsively. He removes things precisely. Every removal is measured. Every loss is intentional. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. The problem is, we often beg God to restore what He removed, without realizing He removed it because we asked Him for growth. We prayed for strength, but strength requires challenge. We prayed for clarity, but clarity requires separation. We prayed for purpose, but purpose requires pruning. A gardener does not cut a plant because he hates it. He cuts it because he believes in what it can become. If God is trimming your life right now, it means He sees fruit that you cannot yet see. Sometimes God removes people not because they are bad people, but because they are not aligned with the direction He is taking you. Not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. Some people are chapters, not the whole book. And if you hold on too tightly to the old chapter, you will never read the next one. What God removes is often what you secretly rely on more than Him. So He removes it, not to make you weak, but to teach you where your real strength comes from. Dependence on temporary things creates permanent anxiety. Dependence on God creates lasting peace. When something leaves your life, your first response should not be anger. It should be reflection. Ask yourself gently, was this helping me grow, or was it simply helping me stay comfortable? Growth is uncomfortable. That's why most people avoid it. But God loves you too much to leave you small. In 2026, God is not interested in decorating your comfort zone. He is interested in expanding your capacity. And expansion always feels like pressure before it feels like freedom. So when something disappears, don't chase it. When a door closes, don't force it open. When a season ends, don't beg it to return. Trust that if God removed it, it already served its purpose. Remember this deeply. God never subtracts without a reason. God never removes without replacing. God never empties your hands without planning to fill them with something better. What left your life was not your destiny. It was only making room for it. And sometimes the greatest sign that God is changing your life is that the old life no longer fits. Discomfort is something we all try to escape. We label it as bad, negative, or unnecessary. But if you look closely at your life, every major transformation you ever experienced was born in discomfort. Comfort never changed anyone. Comfort keeps us the same. Discomfort moves us forward. When God wants to change your life, He rarely does it by making everything easy. He does it by making you uncomfortable enough to question, reflect, and realign. Because when life is smooth, we sleep through our potential. When life becomes difficult, we wake up. Many people say, I don't understand why this is happening to me. But discomfort is not confusion, it is communication. God is speaking through circumstances when we are not listening through silence. Think about a seed buried in the soil. From the outside, it looks like destruction, darkness, pressure, isolation. But the seed is not being punished, it is being prepared. If the seed remained comfortable on the surface, it would never become a tree. It must break, it must struggle. It must push upward against resistance. In the same way, God allows pressure in your life not to crush you but to activate you. Pressure reveals what comfort hides. It shows you your inner strength, your patience, your faith, and your priorities. Sometimes God makes you uncomfortable because you are settling for less than what you prayed for. You asked for growth, but you chose convenience. You asked for purpose, but you stayed with habits that numbed you. So God disrupts the routine. He shakes the structure. He disturbs the peace, not to harm you, but to realign you. Discomfort forces honesty. In comfort, we lie to ourselves. We pretend everything is fine. We ignore the quiet voice inside that says, you are meant for more. But discomfort removes distractions. Makes us sit with ourselves. It makes us confront what we have been avoiding. That uneasy feeling you carry into 2026 is not fear, it is awareness. Something within you knows that the old way of living is no longer enough. God is awakening that awareness so you stop living on autopilot. Many people confuse God's silence with absence, but silence is often the classroom where the deepest lessons are taught. When answers don't come immediately, we learn patience. When solutions don't appear quickly, we learn surrender. When control slips away, we learn trust. God is not trying to make your life harder. He is trying to make you stronger. A comfortable life can create a weak spirit. A challenging life can create an unshakable one. Think back to your hardest seasons. They were painful, yes, but they were also the moments that matured you. They taught you boundaries. They taught you humility. They taught you gratitude. You didn't grow despite the discomfort. You grew because of it. Discomfort has a purpose. It pushes you to pray when you stop relying on your own plans. It pushes you to reflect when distractions disappear. It pushes you to change when staying the same becomes unbearable. God often makes the current situation uncomfortable, so you stop romanticizing the past and fearing the future. He wants you present, aware, conscious, and remember this: God never gives discomfort without direction. The discomfort you feel is pointing you somewhere, toward discipline, toward truth, toward courage, toward faith. If life feels unsettled right now, don't rush to escape it. Sit with it, listen to it. Ask what it is teaching you, because discomfort is not here to stay forever. It is here to shape you. When you stop resisting discomfort and start learning from it, it transforms from pain into power. And one day you will look back and realize what once made you uncomfortable was the very thing that awakened you. There comes a time in life when the noise slowly fades, messages reduce, invitations stop, the phone feels quieter than before, and in that silence, a strange thought appears in the mind. Why am I being left alone? Many people interpret isolation as rejection. They think something is wrong with them. But very often, isolation is not a sign of loss, it is a sign of preparation. Before God elevates a person, He simplifies their surroundings. Crowds are comforting, but they are also distracting. Opinions are loud, but they are also confusing. When too many voices speak into your life, clarity becomes impossible. So God, very gently or sometimes suddenly, begins to remove the unnecessary noise. Isolation is not punishment, it is protection. God isolates you not because people are bad, but because their voices are not aligned with the direction He wants to take you. When everyone has access to your thoughts, your doubts increase. When everyone has access to your dreams, fear grows. Silence protects the seed before it becomes strong enough to face the wind. Think of how gold is refined. It is taken away from the open, heated intensely, and purified in solitude. The fire does not destroy the gold, it removes what does not belong. In the same way, isolation removes dependence on validation, applause, and external approval. In isolation, you begin to hear something you couldn't hear before: your conscience, your inner voice, and sometimes God's voice. Many people fail, not because they lack talent, but because they lack clarity. They listen to too many people who have opinions but no understanding of their journey. God reduces the crowd so you stop living according to expectations and start living according to purpose. This season of aloneness teaches you something priceless: self-trust. When there is no one to lean on emotionally, you learn to stand. When there is no one constantly affirming you, you learn to affirm yourself through faith. When there is no audience, you learn sincerity. Isolation shows you who you really are without performance. No filters, no pretending, just honesty. It also teaches you discernment. You begin to notice who was present for convenience and who was present for commitment. Not everyone who walks with you is walking for you. Some walk beside you only until the road becomes difficult. Isolation removes illusions. God does not elevate crowded minds. He elevates focused hearts. Many of the greatest transformations in life happen in seasons where no one is watching. Muscles grow when the gym is quiet. Faith grows when prayers feel unanswered. Character grows when nobody applauds. If you feel alone going into 2026, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase connections just to avoid discomfort. This season is not about replacement. It is about refinement. Isolation teaches you independence without arrogance and humility without insecurity. It balances you. God isolates you because He is building something in you that requires depth. Shallow roots cannot support tall trees. Before growth above the ground, there must be strengthening beneath the surface. And remember, isolation is temporary. It is a season, not a sentence. God never isolates someone to abandon them. He isolates them to prepare them for responsibility, influence, and service. When the time is right, God will bring the right people back, not crowds but companions, not noise but support, not distractions but alignment. Until then, embrace the quiet. Use it to reflect, pray, discipline yourself, and reconnect with what truly matters. Because when elevation comes, you won't need many people around you. You will need wisdom within you. And isolation is where that wisdom is born. Many people pray for success, recognition, and abundance. Very few pray for character, but God knows something we often forget. Success can expose weaknesses faster than failure ever could. That is why before God increases your influence, He deepens your integrity. Character is what holds you steady when circumstances change. Without it, success becomes dangerous. It feeds ego, creates entitlement, and slowly disconnects us from gratitude and humility. So when God sees potential in you, He doesn't rush to give you more. He first reshapes who you are. Think about a building. The taller it is meant to stand, the deeper the foundation must go. You don't see the foundation, but it carries everything. In T, same way, character is invisible, but it supports every visible achievement in your life. God uses everyday moments to refine character. Delays teach patience, criticism teaches humility, responsibility teaches discipline, and silence teaches self-control. None of these lessons feel pleasant, but all of them are necessary. Sometimes you feel like your progress is slow. Others are moving ahead. Their lives look smoother, faster, more rewarding, and you wonder, why am I being tested like this? The answer is simple. God is strengthening you for something that requires maturity, not just talent. Talent can take you to the top. Only character can keep you there. God is more concerned about who you become than what you achieve. Achievements fade, titles change, applause moves on. But character stays with you in every season. In this refining process, God often allows situations that reveal your inner world. Moments where you could react in anger but choose calm. Moments where you could cheat but choose honesty. Moments where you could give up but choose perseverance. These choices shape your future more than any opportunity ever will. You may feel unnoticed during this season, like your efforts don't matter, like no one sees your discipline. But remember, God sees what people miss. And what God rewards is not performance, but sincerity. When God delays success, He is protecting you from pride. When He delays recognition, He is protecting you from comparison. When He delays abundance, He is protecting you from dependency on material comfort. This is not denial, this is preparation. Character also teaches you balance. Success without inner peace feels empty. God wants your life to feel meaningful, not just impressive. That's why He teaches contentment before expansion. You may notice that God is asking you to let go of shortcuts, to walk the longer path, to do the right thing even when it's inconvenient. This is not slowing you down, it is aligning you. In a world that glorifies speed, God values depth. Character gives you the strength to handle pressure without breaking, praise without losing humility, and failure without losing hope. It keeps you grounded when life changes suddenly. And when the blessings finally arrive, when the doors open, when opportunities come, when life shifts, you won't be overwhelmed by them. You'll be ready because success does not change people. It reveals them. God is shaping your character so that when success arrives, it becomes a tool for service, not a source of ego. A platform for contribution, not competition. If life feels demanding right now, don't resist it, don't rush it. Let the refining happen. One day you will realize the season that tested your patience was building your strength. The season that humbled you was preparing you for honor. And the season that shaped your character was God's greatest blessing in disguise. One of the hardest lessons to accept in life is waiting. We live in a world that celebrates speed, fast success, quick results, instant gratification. So when God delays something we deeply desire, we interpret it as rejection. But very often, delay is not denial. Delay is protection. Many times we ask God for something without realizing the weight that comes with it. We see the blessing, but we don't see the responsibility. We see the opportunity, but not the pressure. God sees both. And because He sees the full picture, He waits. There are doors God keeps closed because walking through them too early would break you. There are relationships God delays because you are still becoming the person who can sustain them. There are successes God postpones because your inner world needs strengthening first. A fruit picked too early looks promising, but it tastes bitter. Timing gives sweetness. In the same way, blessings given at the wrong time create stress instead of peace. Think about how many things you wanted in the past that you are now grateful you didn't get. At that time, you felt disappointed. Today, you feel relieved. That was God protecting you, even when you didn't understand it. God's delays save us from ourselves. Sometimes you feel stuck, watching others move ahead. Their lives seem to flow while yours feels paused. But comparison blinds us to our own journey. Everyone's timing is different. Everyone's preparation is different. God does not measure life by speed. He measures it by readiness. Waiting teaches patience, but more importantly, it teaches trust. Trust that even when nothing seems to be happening, something is happening within you. Waiting seasons shape emotional strength. They remove desperation. They teach contentment. Desperation attracts the wrong things. Patience attracts what lasts. God knows that a rushed blessing can become a burden. So He slows you down. He teaches you to breathe, to reflect, to strengthen your inner foundation. In waiting, God refines your desires. What you wanted at first may not be what you truly need. Waiting filters motives. It separates ego from purpose. It helps you ask better questions. Sometimes God delays because He is aligning multiple pieces at once: people, opportunities, lessons, and timing. You see only your part. God sees the entire design. When delays frustrate you, remember, God is never late. He arrives at the exact moment when growth, opportunity, and wisdom meet. Waiting also builds gratitude. When something arrives after patience, you value it more. You protect it, you respect it, you don't take it for granted. If God gave you everything easily, you would never learn reverence for what you receive. In 2026, many of you are in a waiting room, not moving backward, not moving forward, just waiting. And that can feel exhausting. But waiting is not wasted time. It is training time. God uses waiting to detach you from outcomes and attach you to faith, to teach you that your peace should not depend on what you receive, but on who you trust. And when the blessing finally arrives, when the door opens effortlessly, you will realize it came not because you forced it, but because you were ready. The right timing brings calm, no anxiety, no panic, no fear of losing it. If something has not happened yet, trust that it is being protected for you or from you. God does not withhold to frustrate. He withholds to safeguard. And one day, you will look back at every delay and say quietly, with gratitude, "Thank you, God, for not giving me what I wanted until I was ready for what I needed." There comes a moment in life when you realize that planning, controlling, and worrying cannot take you any further. You have tried everything you knew. You worked hard, you stayed disciplined, you hoped, and still, things did not unfold the way you imagined. That moment is not failure, it is an invitation. God is teaching you the difference between dependence and desperation. Desperation says, "I must have this or I will not survive." Dependence says, "I trust that I will be okay with or without this." When life doesn't go according to plan, desperation grows. We start forcing outcomes, chasing validation, and holding on to people or situations out of fear. But fear-driven decisions always come at a cost. God allows plans to collapse so you stop gripping life too tightly, not to make you helpless, but to make you humble. Humility opens the heart, and an open heart is teachable. Dependence on God does not mean inactivity. It means action without anxiety, effort without obsession, trust without tension. When you depend on God, you still work hard, you still show up, you still do your part, but you stop carrying the emotional weight of outcomes that are beyond your control. Many people exhaust themselves, not because life is hard, but because they try to control everything. Control creates fear of loss. Dependence creates peace. God wants you to walk with Him, not ahead of Him and not dragging behind Him. When you run ahead, you make decisions without wisdom. When you lag behind, you resist growth. Walking with God keeps you balanced. Life teaches dependence in quiet ways. A plan fails, a door closes, a relationship shifts, and suddenly you realize how fragile certainty is. That realization is not meant to frighten you, it is meant to free you, because when you stop depending on circumstances for stability, you discover inner strength. God does not want you to need Him only when things go wrong. He wants you to rely on Him even when things go right. True dependence is not born in crisis alone. It is built in consistency. Desperation makes us restless. We rush decisions. We ignore red flags. We compromise values. We say yes when we should say no. We cling instead of trusting. Dependence, on the other hand, brings calm discernment. You learn to wait without panic. You learn to accept without resentment. You learn to move forward without fear. In 2026, God is teaching many of you to release the illusion of control. Not everything needs to be figured out right now. Not every question needs an immediate answer. Faith does not mean understanding everything. Faith means trusting even when you don't. When you depend on God, your identity no longer depends on success or failure. Your worth no longer depends on approval. Your peace no longer depends on outcomes. This does not make you passive. It makes you grounded. God knows that desperation can destroy what patience builds, so He slows you down. He teaches you to breathe, to surrender the urge to force life. Dependence also teaches gratitude. When you know you are supported, you stop taking things for granted. You see every small victory as grace, not entitlement. And the most beautiful part of dependence is this: when life surprises you, you are not shaken. When things don't go your way, you don't collapse. You adapt, you grow, you trust. Because your faith is not in the plan, it is in the planner. If you feel uncertain right now, don't label it a weakness. It is a transition. God is shifting you from L reliance to God reliance. And that shift changes everything. Because when you stop holding life with clenched fists and start holding it with open hands, peace enters quietly, and you realize you were never alone, never unsupported, never abandoned. You were simply being taught how to trust. There are moments in life when everything feels like it is falling apart. Old habits no longer work. Old mindsets feel heavy. Old ways of reacting bring regret instead of relief. And in those moments, it is easy to believe that life is breaking you. But very often, God is not breaking you. He is breaking patterns that no longer serve your future. We grow attached to familiarity even when it hurts us. Repeated behaviors feel safe because they are known. But what is familiar is not always what is healthy. God sees the cycle you are stuck in long before you do. So He disrupts it. He allows situations that expose habits you have ignored. He places mirrors in your life, people, failures, consequences, not to shame you, but to awaken you. Change is uncomfortable because it threatens identity. When an old pattern breaks, you don't just lose behavior, you lose a version of yourself. And letting go of an identity can feel like loss, even when it is growth. God understands this. That is why change often feels messy before it feels meaningful. You may notice that your old reactions don't bring satisfaction anymore. Anger feels exhausting. Escaping feels empty. Blaming others feels pointless. These are signs of an inner evolution. The old tools no longer work because you have outgrown them. God breaks cycles gently at first, through awareness, through reflection, through an inner discomfort. But when we ignore those signals, life applies more pressure, not to hurt us, but to help us stop hurting ourselves. Many people confuse transformation with destruction, but transformation always involves dismantling what no longer fits. You cannot build something new on an unstable structure. The weak parts must be removed. God is teaching you to respond instead of react, to reflect instead of repeat, to choose consciously instead of automatically. Old patterns often come from fear, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. God breaks those patterns by reminding you of your worth beyond outcomes. When you stop reacting from fear, you start acting from faith. This season may feel confusing because you are in between identities. You are no longer who you were, but not yet fully who you are becoming. That space feels uncomfortable, but it is sacred. It is the space where growth happens. God is also teaching you accountability. Patterns repeat when responsibility is avoided. Change begins when honesty enters. You start noticing your role in situations, not to blame yourself, but to empower yourself. Because what you are aware of, you can change. Breaking patterns also means unlearning survival behaviors that once protected you but now limit you. What helped you cope in the past may hinder your future. God does not judge your past, He honors your survival, but He invites your evolution. In this process, patience is essential. Patterns formed over years do not disappear overnight. Transformation is gradual, not instant. It requires compassion toward yourself. Every time you choose a healthier response, even if imperfect, you weaken the old cycle. Every moment of awareness is progress. God is not asking for perfection, He is asking for sincerity. If life feels chaotic right now, ask yourself, what is being dismantled? What belief is being challenged? What behavior is being questioned? Because God does not tear down without intention. He clears space for alignment. One day you will look back and realize the breakdown you feared was actually the breakthrough you needed. You were not being broken. You were being released from habits that drained you, released from mindsets that limited you, released from cycles that kept you small. And when the dust settles, you will stand lighter, clearer, and stronger, not because life became easier, but because you became wiser. There is a quiet power that many people underestimate. It does not shout, it does not demand, it does not rush. That power is gratitude. When life is uncertain, gratitude feels unnatural. When prayers seem unanswered, gratitude feels difficult. When circumstances are heavy, gratitude feels almost impossible. Yet this is exactly when gratitude matters most. Gratitude is not pretending everything is fine. Gratitude is acknowledging that even in difficulty, you are not empty-handed. Many people wait for life to improve before they become thankful. But life often improves after gratitude enters. Because gratitude changes perception, and perception shapes experience. When you are grateful, you stop seeing life only for what it lacks and start noticing what it still holds. Breath, time, learning, strength. Even the struggle carries lessons. God does not need your gratitude to feel validated. Gratitude is not for God, it is for you. It softens the heart. It calms the mind. It realigns focus. In seasons of uncertainty, gratitude becomes an anchor. It keeps you from drowning in comparison and complaint. Complaint magnifies pain. Gratitude multiplies peace. You may not have everything you want right now, but you have survived everything that tried to break you. That alone deserves gratitude. Gratitude does something powerful. It restores faith without denying reality. You still acknowledge challenges, but you stop letting them define you. Many people think gratitude means accepting less. In truth, gratitude prepares you for more. A grateful heart is a trustworthy heart. God knows that when you appreciate small blessings, you will respect greater ones. When gratitude enters your life, entitlement leaves. And entitlement blocks growth. Gratitude also reconnects you to the present moment. Anxiety lives in the future. Regret lives in the past. Grr. Attitude lives now. And when you are fully present, you make wiser decisions. In 2026, God is teaching many of you this lesson gently. Stop postponing gratitude. Don't wait for life to be perfect. Gratitude is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the fuel for the journey. Even delayed prayers carry hidden mercy. Even closed doors carry protection. Even unanswered questions carry growth. When you thank God in uncertainty, you are saying, I trust you beyond outcomes. That trust deepens your spiritual strength. Gratitude also shifts your relationship with pain. Pain no longer feels meaningless. It becomes purposeful. You start asking, what is this teaching me? Instead of, why is this happening to me? And that single shift transforms suffering into wisdom. Gratitude does not erase pain, but it prevents pain from turning into bitterness, and bitterness poisons progress. A grateful person remains teachable. They stay humble, they stay open, and openness invites grace. If life feels heavy right now, start small. Be grateful for one thing, one lesson, one moment of clarity. Gratitude grows when practiced, not when forced. God often unlocks the next chapter, not when we demand it, but when we appreciate the current one. Because gratitude tells God, I value the process, not just the result. And those who value the process are always ready for the promise. One day you will realize the season that tested your faith the most also revealed your strength the clearest. And gratitude was the bridge between struggle and serenity. At some point in life, a quiet realization dawns within us. We begin to understand that life is not only about reaching higher, earning more, or becoming impressive. It is about becoming useful. It is about becoming someone through whom goodness can flow. God does not change your life just so you can stand above others. He changes your life so you can stand for others. Many people chase success thinking it will bring fulfillment. But success without service feels hollow. It excites the ego, but it starves the soul. That is why God reshapes your heart before He reshapes your circumstances. Every challenge you have faced has refined something within you. Empathy, patience, humility, resilience. These are not accidental traits. They are tools meant for contribution. Your pain was not pointless. Your struggle was not random. Your waiting was not wasted. What you survived is now your responsibility. To guide, to support, to uplift. God allows you to walk through darkness so that one day you can carry light for someone else. He allows you to experience confusion so you can offer clarity. He allows you to feel broken so you can heal without judgment. Service does not always mean grand gestures. Sometimes it is listening without fixing. Sometimes it is kindness without recognition. Sometimes it is simply being present with compassion. God prepares your life in layers. First awareness, then humility, then strength. And finally, responsibility. Responsibility not as burden, but as privilege. When God blesses you, He is trusting you. Trusting that you will not turn blessings into pride. Trusting that you will remember where you came from. Trusting that you will lift others instead of competing with them. The most beautiful success is silent service. It does not seek applause. It does not chase validation. It flows naturally from gratitude. In 2026, God is not just shaping your future, He is shaping your impact. Impact lasts longer than achievement. Achievement fades, impact echoes. When your life becomes about contribution, fear reduces because you are no longer obsessed with protecting your image. You are focused on purpose, and purpose creates peace. Many people ask, what is my calling? Very often, Your calling is hidden inside what once hurt you, what made you cry, will one day help someone breathe easier. God connects people not by convenience but by need. Your journey is being aligned with others who will one day need your wisdom. That is why God changed your life. That is why He was removed. That is why He was delayed. That is why He refined it. Not to elevate your ego, but to expand your heart. When you stop asking, how far can I go? And start asking, whom can I help? Life becomes deeply meaningful. And here is the final truth, my friends. God never wastes a life surrendered to Him. When things don't go your way, remember this. Even detours lead to destiny. When life feels slow, remember this. God's timing is always kind. When success arrives, remember this. Don't let it make you proud. Let it make you grateful. And when you look back one day at the changes of 2026, you won't say life was easy. You will say, life was shaping me, because God did not change your life to break you. He changed your life to bless others through you. And that is where true fulfillment begins. So as you step forward into this new season, remember this quietly but firmly. God is not in a hurry, and neither should you be. Walk with faith, not fear. Work with sincerity, not stress. Serve with humility, not ego. Do your best each day and leave the rest to God. Because when you move with honesty in your heart, discipline in your actions, and gratitude in your spirit, life always aligns, even when you don't understand how. Trust this truth deeply. Life is not about controlling the journey. It is about trusting the one who leads it. And when you trust God completely, even the uncertain paths will take you exactly where you are meant to be. Move forward with faith, live with purpose, and let your life become a blessing, not just a success,